a very good afternoon to you guys. Today's webinar is all about the item revaluation journals in the Microsoft Dynamics BC. Okay, so here's something about myself. I'm Zoe. As you know, I'm from the help desk department. So I'm graduated from the IT Bachelor and I joined for some training about the reportings. Also, I am doing the supports for various of industry sections. So most of the time, you email the cases to support email, we will be attend to the cases. Okay, so let's take a look on today's agenda. So basically, we will have an overview for item revaluations. We will be talking about what item revaluation is about and when you should use it. And also for the module 2 is how are we going to perform the revaluation of the inventory and the posting result. Okay, let's get into the topics. For the module 1, the overview. Okay, in this module, we will have an very quick overview and objectives for the item revaluation journals. Okay, let's have a look. So you might have a scenario that the inventory value can be changes over the time, such as if you are having an damage or the aging of the goods. For example, you are running the business of the convenience store and you are selling some food and the expiry date is near, so you would like to depreciate the value of it. So you can consider to perform the revaluation journal to adjust the cost. Also, in the other scenario, it might be having some cases in the real life that the user is wrongly insert the cost for the inventory. So this scenario, we will be using the revaluation journal to make the cost correct. Okay, so from the examples above, we can conclude that the revaluation journal will be taking place when the value of the items or specific records to be revaluated, I should say in the other terms as depreciate or appreciate. So here's the overview and the objectives and why we are going to use the revaluation journals. Okay, let's get into the main part, which is the module 2 about the process and the result of post. Okay, in this module, we will be going through the prerequisite first because some setup you will need to take note of before you perform any actions, and also the scenario. We were having 2 scenarios for the examples given earlier in the previous slide, and also the steps to perform the actions for different scenarios, and also we will be viewing the posting result as well. Okay, so let's take a look on what is the prerequisite. Of course, you will need the permission to access to the revaluation journals, and also the allowed posting setup is very crucial as we would need to run the adjust cost item entries batch job before and after the revaluation journal. Okay, so here's one thing you might need to take care of is the allowed posting setup, because this setup is available into from 2 pages, I should say, 2 setup, user setup and the general ledger setup. Okay, so which one is having the priority? Of course, the user setup. Okay, so there is 2 views on the pages, I should say. The name will be allowed posting from and allowed posting to. So these 2 fields will be recording the allowed posting period for the posting to be done. And also, if your company is using the general ledger setup to record the allowed posting period, this date period is applied for all the users. However, I believe some of the user might have some special scenario that which is allowed to be posted beyond the posting date range set up in the general ledger setup. So in that scenario, the user setup will be taking place. So the user setup will be having the priority on the controlling of the posting period. Okay, so here's the points that you need to take care of before running the adjust cost item entries batch job. Okay, let's have a look on the first scenario. So the first scenario will be reevaluating all the on-hand quantity for certain items. So maybe in the real life, you might have several items you would like to adjust. But for this demo, we will just go through the very straightforward and basic scenario we'll do. Okay, here's the story. You, as an accounting manager of the company, that you was informed that the one of the item is required to be depreciated due to the improper warehouse handling, such as the rusting or it was soaked in the water. Okay, so here's the information that we will need. So for this scenario, we will be going to depreciate the whole all the on-hand quantity in the location blue. For this item Hinge, which is having the item number of 70,200. So the cost before the damage is 70 cents each. Then after the damage, we will adjust it to the 30 cents each. Okay, so let's have a look at what we can do inside NAP to complete this task. Okay, let me refresh my page. Okay, so for this demo, I will be using the version of Dynamics Business Central 170. So your version might not be having the same interface as mine, but the function is a standard function for every versions of NAV. So no worries, you can still follow the steps. Okay, so I'm going to perform the task in this company, Kronos World 3, and I assign myself as an accounting manager, which match with the scenario. If you are not the accounting manager role, it's okay, as long as you having the permission to run the adjust cost item entries batch job, as well as performing the revaluation journal will do. So it is not necessary that you will required to be assigned as the account manager as long as you have the permission. Okay, let's have a look on the item change. Let's go to the item card. And I will be filtering with the number. Okay, let's click inside the item card. Okay, let's see. The cost now is 70 cents for the unit cost. And due to the improper warehouse handling, the cost should be 30 cents after the revaluation. Okay, so here's what we are going to do. Okay, let's have a look on the user setup. Let me show you on my setup. Okay, inside the user setup, I put myself without the allowed posting from, but I have a very far away allowed posting to the date. Okay, why? Because please bear with me of the data because I have the data in year 2021 and 2022. So that's why I put a very far date. So the date is depends on how you are going to set in your company due to your SOP. So it's okay for the setting that you have your own dates here. Okay, so here's my setting. So when we try to run the adjust cost item entries batch job, it will be referring on this date to calculate the actual cost. Okay, let's have a run before the revaluation journals complete. So I will search for adjust cost item entries. Okay. So for this example, I'm going to only adjust the hinge, the item hinge. So I will set a filter for this item itself and click OK. So it will run a very quick run for that function. Okay, so let's get into the item card again. You can see here the cost now is still 70 cents. Okay, let's see what we need to do for the revaluating the item. Okay, let's go to the revaluation journals. Item revaluation journal. All right, you will get this interface. Also, you have the batch name. Okay, you can select the batch by dropping down here. So I have only one batch, then I will use this batch. Okay, and also there are lines. So you can see there are several fields here. We will get into a deep understanding for these fields later. So let's get started because this item is we need to depreciate all the on-hand quantity for this item under the location blue. So we can be using this function, the calculate inventory value. So from your version, maybe you can search on the ribbon. Then you will get this. You will see two. The first one is with the test, then the second one is without the test. What's the difference between these two? Okay, from the function with the test, it will just generate something like test report for you to check the errors. So you can make any changes or any modification you would like to have before the actual run. So let's have a look on the test calculate inventory value. Let's click on that. So my posting date, I will remain unchanged for my work date. This is my work date as well, as you can see on the top here. Okay, and I would like to have the item of Hinge 200. Okay, only for the location blue. You can see some of the fields here. The posting date, of course, you can change to the date that you would like to have. And the calculate per here, you can see there is two options. One is the item ledger entries and one is per item. So what's the difference between these two? Okay, so for the item ledger entries, it will split according to each and every item ledger entries, such as for example, you have three records inside the item ledger entry. If you select this item ledger entries, it will split into three lines. Okay, so if you select item here, it will be grouping with an item, no matter how many lines it has in the item ledger entries. So I will select items for this demo. And also I will group by location and group by the variance. So this side depends on how you are going to have the journal lines to be present. So the calculate base here, it will be suggesting the value to be revaluated. So I will just leave blank because I'm going to define the value by myself later. Okay, so everything is done. You can print the report or you can preview the report first. Okay, so I'm getting an empty report. The empty reports here means there is no error. If you have you got some text in this report, which means they are having error, so it was stated error on the right hand side of the line Okay, so since this is no error, we can close this one. Okay, so let me close this one. Let's have the actual run for the calculations. So also the same, I'll go to the actions, functions, and calculate inventory value. Okay, so from here, once you click on the calculate inventory value, a message will be prompting. So what is this message about? It's telling you that you must run the adjust cost item entries batch job before you calculate the value of the inventory. So we have run beforehand. I will just click yes here. Okay, then I will get the similar filters here. So for the document number, I will remain unchanged because this is my number series running number. Also, this one I will be getting items, and by location, by variance, this one I'll be keeping blank. And also the same item number and the same location blue. Okay, so everything is set with the same, I should say, same filters, credential criteria with the test report. We can click OK. So no error message should be showing. And here you can see the line will be added to the revaluation journal lines. Okay, so the key here is the five fields here: amount, unit cost calculated, inventory value calculated, unit cost revalue, and inventory value revalue. Okay, don't get panicked to get this step. This is very straightforward and simple. So the field we end with the calculated is non-editable because this is the value that system calculated for us. All we need to do is update the value under the fields with the revalue. So according to our scenario, we will need to depreciate this item to 30 cents for each. Okay, so once I tap on my enter, the inventory value, revalue, it will be calculated with the multiplication of 30 cents and my quantities. So I will get this value. Okay, and this value will be the results after my revaluation, and this is the amount. The 650 plus is the amount to be depreciated. Okay, so if you would like to have the document for your filing, you can print the test report. It's okay. If you are okay without the filing, you can click on post. Let's have a post. Okay, so I will click yes for the confirmation message. Okay, it was successfully posted. Okay, after it was posted, as mentioned in the previous slide, before we run the revaluation journal and after we run the revaluation journal, we need to run the batch job of adjust cost item entries. Okay, so I was still running the same item, which is the hinge alone. For this demo, I'll click OK. Okay, so the adjust cost was completed. And let's go back to our item card to have a look. Okay. So now the unit cost was adjusted to the 30 cents without affecting my my inventory quantities on hand. Okay, so we are done with the first scenario. Am I going too fast? Okay, since nobody is raising their hands or unmuting the mics, then let's get back to our slide. Okay, just now we have tried the item hinge to depreciate the value for the all the on-hand quantity on the location blue. So here's some notes for you. Okay. So the revaluation is also related to the costing method of the items. So please note that if you are using the costing method of standard in your item card, it is not working for the revaluation journal. Okay, because the standard cost is always the fixed cost. So no matter how hard you try to do the revaluation, the cost is always the same. So it was not applying to the revaluation journals. And also for the costing method of average, you can only calculate with the calculate per of items. It cannot be used for calculate per with the item ledger entries because the NAV will be calculating the cost for the average item with from all the records. So that's why you cannot just simply change one of the records. Okay, so here's some tips and notes for you. You may jot this down for your own reference lah. Okay, by the way, if you are trying to run the items with this costing method, when you are trying to run the test report for calculate inventory value, the error message will be prompting you that telling you that in average item should not be using the calculate per of item ledger entry, something like that. That's so that due to that time, you still can check and make some changes on the calculations part lah. Okay, so that's all you need to be take care of for the first scenario. Let's go to the second scenario, which is we will only need to revaluate single records for one item, for the items, I should say. Okay, also the same story. You as the accounting manager was informed that one of your warehouse executive records the wrong cost during the time of posting the positive adjustment for the item, but now there is no inventory on hand because the inventory was used for other shipment already. So how are we going to make the changes? So here's the here's the information for the actions to be done. Okay, so still the same. The revaluation is still going to happen on the location blue, which is the item side panel that having the item number of 70,000 and the wrong cost recorded with the document number of fees 1. Okay, the cost recorded currently is $15.70. And now we are going to adjust it to the correct cost, which is the $15. Okay, let's see what we can do from the nav side. Okay, let me exit from the item card Hinge. And let's have a look on the item side panel. Yeah, I have this side panel here. Let's see which are the records that we are wrongly recorded. Okay, let me show you in the item ledger entries. Item ledger entries. Okay, so according to the information, the warehouse executive is wrongly recorded the cost for this piece 1, the document for the positive adjustment. And currently we have no more remaining quantity. And the cost here is total cost here is $31.4, which is 15.7 each. So we are going to adjust this line to the correct cost. Okay, so still the same. It is always remember to run the adjust cost batch job before performing any actions on the revaluation journal. So this time I'm going to run the item side panel alone. And let me insert the filters. Click OK. So still the same. There is no changes made on the records yet. The cost is still the same. The remaining quantity is still zero. So let's get into the revaluation journal. Valuation journal. Item revaluation journal. Okay, still the same. I'm having my document number with the auto running number, so I'm not going to change it, and my posting date of my work date. So now, since I have no more quantity on hand, I cannot be using the function of calculate inventory value. I need to insert manually. Okay, so how it is going to work? Okay, first of all, I need to let Nat know what are the items that I would like to have the revaluation. So I will insert the item number for the side panel. Okay, leave the rest of the field as blank. Okay, why? Because we are going to utilize the function of applies to entries. So you can drop down this field and select the entries that we would like to adjust. So according to our scenario, this is the records that we will need to adjust. So let's select this and click OK. So the rest of the field, it will be filling automatically. Okay, still the same. I'm going to adjust the unit cost for this item. So I will be typing in the correct cost and tap enter. So $30 will be the final cost for this revaluation, and $1.4 is going to be depreciated. Okay, so now still the same. I can be generating the test report for my documentation purpose, or I can skip this step, then have a post directly. It's okay. It depends on your company's SOP. So I will just skip the test report printing and click on post and click on yes. So it will post it successfully. Once the posting was successfully done, let's have a run of adjust cost item and entries. Okay, so this round I'm going to run the side panel, the item side panel alone. So I'm not going to change any filters here and click OK. Okay, the adjust cost was completed. Let's have a look on our records that we make changes. Let's go into the item ledger entries for the item side panel. Okay, let's have a look on the piece one, the document piece one. Okay, so this is the records. As you can see here, the cost here is actually adjusted to $30, which is the $15 for each of the quantity. So that's it for the scenario 2, which is we adjust specific records for the items. Also, from our scenario, we did the depreciation of the item cost. Also, you can do the appreciation of the item cost as well. It is not really restrict on the depreciation. You can do for appreciation as well. Okay, so since we are done with the second scenario, let's go back to our slide. So here's some summary to recap all the items, all the ideas we have go through within this demo. So of course, we have introduced the prerequisite. We need the permissions to run the revaluation journal, and also we will be taking notes on the setup for the allowed posting from, allowed posting to in the user setup and general ledger setup. So this is the main point that you will need to take care of before you have run the adjust cost batch shop. So of course we have go through the two scenarios. One is we adjust the value for all the quantity on hand for the certain item. So this scenario, we utilize the function of calculate inventory values. So this demo, we have run through the test report of calculate inventory value and also the actual calculate inventory value. Okay, then for the second scenario, we adjust single entry of the items. So this scenario we use to manual insert the records into the revaluation journal lines and select the applies to ID. Applies to entries. Okay, so always remember that please run the adjust cost item entries before and after you have post the revaluation journal.